2019 British Championships. This is coming to the end of 2 days of top-level British roller derby.
The best derby.
So we're up next. We're going to have the final for Tier 2 WFTDA side.
And we're going to see Wiltshire Roller Derby taking on North Wales Roller Derby. We're going to take you through the rosters so you know who you'll be seeing on your screens. So for Wiltshire, who'll be playing in green, we have Le Renegade, Ginge, Reckless, Swift, Be Brutal, Skeletor, Serenity Shepherd, Lady T, Chloe, Hayley, Diamond Dodge, Han Zoe Low, 702, Lynn Zane, and the bench is Skelton. The lineup manager is Firefly.
And for North Wales Roller Derby, we have Deadly Nightjade, Cyclo, Skatey Perry, Sharp Attack, MC Slammer, Hurst, Brewski, Spider Slam, Trick Sanchez, Meryl Streak, Megan Love, Jabberwocky, Basket Case, Max Payne, Chellraiser, Knocker Blocker Glory, and the benches team is Tom Thump, Mushy Wookie, McLeod, and Saz.
We are already off with the first jam of this game, and it is an early lead for Wiltshire as the Renegade picks up lead with Meryl Streak still tied up in the pack. There you see on the screen Meryl Streak working her way round a Wiltshire wall, trying to. You can see her removing the star there. Remember, in roller derby, it is the star that scores the points.
So by taking the star off, you're trying to confuse the other team, because then they won't know who the jammer is. But the Renegade doesn't need that with what we call an apex jump, to jump over the other blockers in their way to pick up 4 points.
There's been a star pass now to Max Payne of North Wales Roller Derby. So for those of you watching who might be watching roller derby the first time, the star can be passed off to the player called the pivot. They wear a stripe on their helmet, and that might have an advantage of getting the star out of the pack faster. It is a strategic move to use, so do keep an eye out that. Big first jam there for Wiltshire, 11 points on the board. Strong start for the team in green.
And both these teams have met this year as part of the year-long British Championships process that we go into. They're in the same tier, and it was North Wales who came away with the win.
Yes, they won 186 points to 169 last time they played. Ooh. So a really narrow game. In fact, that was the narrowest game played in that tier. So it's absolutely right that these two teams should be fighting it out in the final for the Tier 2 gold medal. We now have Trick Sanchez jamming for North Wales Roller Derby, and Diamond Dodge picking up lead for Wiltshire. Diamond Dodge, one of the top jammers in the whole tier. In fact, 380 points scored this season.
So Wiltshire picking up lead jammer for the first two jams. That's a big, important psychological message. And it means that you control the game and you can call off the jam whenever you want. And you can see there that Wiltshire picked up 4 points and went, we don't want North Wales to score any, we'll end the jam now. So that takes them to 15 points.
Yeah, North Wales yet to score, but in roller derby, things move and change very quickly. Don't write North Wales off just yet. They have had an incredible season with, as you mentioned, 4 wins out of 4 games played.
Yeah.
Had a great tournament recently in August, which they won as well.
Yes, they won the Chartist Cup, beating some of the teams they've faced this weekend. So they've had a strong season, and it's going to be Spider Slam for North Wales with the jammer helmet cover, trying to score points.
It's Lynn Zane for Wiltshire, and no lead jammer has been established as of yet. I spoke too soon. Spider Slam picking up the first lead status this game for North Wales. However, because she was knocked out of bounds, she has to come back behind the players who knocked her out to reset. So she's not actually completed what we call her initial pass. That's the first pass the jammer makes through the pack to become eligible for lead.
But you don't actually score points on your initial pass. It's your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth pass in which you score points.
We love a simple rule set in roller derby. It's really easy to follow if you've never watched it before. This is all about the defense in this jam. You can see that Wiltshire have caught Spider Slam back, and Lindsay now, after quite a period of time, it's actually, the jam clock is frozen on your screen, and over a minute's time has elapsed in this potential 2-minute jam.
Yep, we'll keep you updated to make sure that you get all the points and times as it changes. But Lindsay isn't concerned about that, completing another 4-point scoring pass through the pack.
Spider Slam has also taken off the star helmet cover, which means although she did have lead status, she is no longer able to call off the jam. So this jam will therefore run to its full 2-minute capacity. Which the jam clock is frozen in many different places at the moment now. 20 seconds to go. We can see that from our vantage point. We apologise that it's not correct on your screen right now.
And as you can see, both teams, the blockers are sort of, we call it a wall up together, holding back the jammers behind them. And that is hard physical work for the jammers to get through, but the blockers are absolutely solid on the track. That was an excellent display of blocking from both teams. When you think that we had a full 2-minute jam, and we had 1 point scored for North Wales and only 4 points for Wiltshire in that 2 minutes.
But that does get North Wales on the board for the first time in this game, and one, points as prizes, as the saying goes.
Yeah. So actually it was 7 points for Wiltshire, so it's now 1 point for North Wales, playing 22 for Wiltshire. We apologise for the incorrect on the screen.
Well, that's why we're here, to correct the things that we can't control as far as we're able to. We're just on a timeout at the moment by the looks of it, possibly to see if we can fix that issue and to double check the score. We get a nice shot there of North Wales playing in white with purple accents, standing at their bench having a discussion.
And we have timeouts. You can have up to 3 timeouts during a game. So it's a chance for your team to get together and have a discussion and a chat, a bit of re-strategise.
Yeah, and we can get a nice shot there of our skating officials. You see there are 7 skating officials wearing black and white stripes. They're there to obviously enforce the rules and to keep our skaters safe. And then we have our wonderful non-skating officials wearing black. They're in charge of things like scorekeeping, penalty tracking, timekeeping, and so on. So it really takes a village to put on a roller derby game. If you've never seen one before, then we do encourage you to keep watching and keep listening. And if you have seen one before, you probably don't need to listen to us that much. You know exactly what's going on.
But we'll bring you what the action means over the next hour and a bit. So the timeout has come to an end. So the skaters are all back on track. 5 seconds has been called.
And the score is 22-1 in favour of Wiltshire. Just as a reminder, the overlay is still not showing the correct score, but we'll keep you updated. We have Meryl Streak jamming up against Lindsay. Meryl Streak wearing the star for North Wales. First time out this game.
Both jammers facing tough defence, but it is Spider Slam who gets out first.
Meryl Streak, not Spider Slam, but it's confusing because you see the overlay. On your screen there, you see the pack resetting into a defensive formation. Meryl Streak coming around on the inside line. Megan Love wearing the pivot helmet, giving an assist. And Meryl Streak putting up 4 points on that pass.
So you can see that the North Wales team have got the Wiltshire jammer behind them, but announcer's curse, as soon as I talk about that, then they get out and complete their initial pass.
Well, it's actually been a star pass to 7-0-2 of Wiltshire, the pivot, but she does not have time to put any points on the board. North Wales now putting up 7 total in that jam.
But that's what you're trying to do with a star pass. If you get close to the pack on your second pass and can score points, you force the other team to call the jam. So that was a smart move from Wiltshire to make sure that to limit the damage. So 8 now playing 22.
I mean, these teams are playing for the gold and silver medals. So if they're going to if they have to play a conservative game, then they're going to, as long as they can keep that differential. We now have basket case jamming for North Wales, Le Renegade for Wiltshire, and Le Renegade makes quick work of the pack to pick up lead jammer status. Star pass now. Oh no, not star pass.
Star stash.
Star stash. Oh, I spoke too soon.
And it is that thing where you're trying to trick the other team that you're not the jammer by holding it in your hand.
Well, they tricked me as well, so they did a very good job.
Le Renegade through with little opposition for 4 points from Wiltshire. This is an incredibly strong start from Wiltshire.
And it's going to be a close game throughout, I think, because of the strong showing that both teams have put up. Le Renegade lateraling into the pack and juking round her opposing players.
And what we're seeing is that the pack is speeding up. They're trying to run away from the jammer to make it harder work, to make the jammer skate more to get round and score points. So that's what North Wales are trying to do.
Nice little spin there from the Renegade on the apex. She is having a brilliant jam right now. 12 points. North Wales still not scored. And there has been now a star pass off to Sharp Attack. That's the captain for North Wales this weekend. So you can see her on your screen. She's wearing the pivot stripe and she has the star in her hand.
Meanwhile, Le Renegade has completed another scoring pass. This is now Le Renegade's 5th scoring pass.
And quite typically this weekend, we've not seen massive multi-point scoring passes in a lot of games. There has been some really conservative gameplay, but if she can put up these points at this early stage, it will give her team a great amount of confidence to keep that differential. Just as I said that, she goes, do you know what? I've put a lot of points up there, pals. I'm going to call it.
And that is 20 points for Wiltshire in that last jam, taking them to 42.
Almost half their scores scored in a single jam. So impressive. North Wales holding at 8 points. Nice little shot of the crowd there, who have been amazing all weekend. We can hear the Welsh contingent in the crowd, and I can guarantee you that they will not stop all game.
And we have... and we are back underway. So it is Trick Sanchez up against Diamond Dodge.
Diamond Dodge is a veteran jammer for Wiltshire. She has been a lot of different high-level game situations, and you can see her very calm face, just working away patiently at this pack. Trick Sanchez struggling as well a little bit. The defense in this jam is just exceptional, but Trick Sanchez through for leads after 30 seconds.
But what Trick Sanchez did was she pushed the Wiltshire blockers into her own team, so that gave the opening for her to get through. Great strategy and great physicality from Trick Sanchez.
She has had an excellent weekend. Really just putting the shift in for her team.
But that was 2 points for North Wales in that last jam, taking them to 10. Wiltshire staying on 42. And we have 10 minutes gone in this first half.
You just had a nice little shot there of some of our skating officials just talking, confirming those points. And this close-up shot of the bench and then the start of the jam. This is Swift by the looks of it for Wiltshire. We're just going to confirm that for you. And Spider Slam. Spider Slam battling up front, having a bit of offense there from 953 Knockablock Glory.
Trying to break up that wall to get Spider Slam through, and it works. Lead jammer for North Wales.
Looks like we've got a functioning overlay for you now, folks, so thank you for bearing with us on that. You can see the updated score, the jam clock and the period clock. Lovely one-on-one blocking here from Hayley, who is another stalwart player for Wiltshire. Has really earned their stripes.
Because the track is about 10 foot wide, so to be able to cover that all by yourself.
And Hayley is not tall, like they are quite a diminutive human, but nonetheless effective. Swift now completing the initial pass through the pack. Spider Slam calls the jam, not allowing her to put any points up.
So that's 4 points for North Wales Roller Derby, 7 points in that last jam. So North Wales in the last couple of jams have turned the momentum around and have been able to work out how to lock down those Wiltshire jammers and are closing that gap down. So we now have a 26-point game.
But that big 20-point jam from Le Renegade can't be underestimated. The momentum is in Wiltshire's favour right now. Just having a quick look at the penalties. Nobody in any penalty trouble so far. We've got 7 players in total who have 1 penalty apiece.
That's a very low level for, very low number of penalties. Both teams are playing very clean.
I mean,
obviously that will now change.
This lovely 2-ball out the front from 702, and I can't see their number, but that is the Wiltshire captain. 2-2. They have, look, it's announced as curse. We have now got a power jam situation on our hands.
So a power jam is when the jammer for your team has gone into the penalty box, sits for 30 seconds. It gives the other team 30 seconds to score points while you can't do anything.
The only exception to this is if the Wiltshire jammer or the opposing jammer now gets a jammer of her own. There will never be 2 jammers in the penalty box because then there's no game. But at the moment, Lindsay with lead status is not looking to go to that penalty box anytime soon.
But Meryl Streak has now been released, completed that 30-second penalty sit down, and is back in the pack. Has to redo that initial pass.
Yes, because she got the penalty while she was completing it, she has to do that again. So she is not eligible to score points until she's gone through those Wiltshire blockers once more. And there she goes.
Meanwhile, Lindsay is scoring points, and that is the second scoring pass for Lindsay. She sees Meryl Streak approaching the pack and calls that jam off to avoid North Wales picking up points. Meanwhile, Wiltshire have picked up 8 in that last jam, taking them to 51.
Smart play there from Wiltshire. Like, Meryl Streak has had a really exceptional weekend. Yeah. Really high point scorer and such a smart jammer. Very, very fast as well. So if she's out of the pack, you don't want to give her a chance to hit it.
To get to this final today, North Wales have beaten a number of teams to get here. So they've had 2 games and they've had to beat Riot City Ravens from Newport and Nottingham to get here.
And they've done that quite convincingly. Yeah. I think that it's really nice to see now they're matched against Wiltshire, who have similarly had a very successful weekend. Le Renegade on an absolute blinder of a game here. Lead jammer for Wiltshire. And Basket Case trapped in the pack for North Wales.
The Renegade completing that 4-point pass, but sees North Wales jammer out and so calls the jam to avoid any risk of points.
Just to clarify again, folks, if you're watching for the first time, there's probably a lot going on that you're just adjusting yourself to. But when you see the jammer repeatedly touch their hands to their hips, that is them signalling to their jammer referee that they are calling off the jam.
Ending the jam.
Yep, which they are allowed to do as lead jammer. If they go to the box, if they earn a penalty, they lose their lead jammer status. So even if they come back from the box having served their penalty, they will not be in control of the jam clock.
So Trix Sanchez on the line for North Wales up against Diamond Dodge. Diamond Dodge out in milliseconds for lead.
Yeah, there was a really nice clear inside line there thanks to her blockers, and she took it for all it was worth.
And also North Wales have 1 blocker in the penalty box, and that does make it easier for the other jammer to get through.
Short and sharp there. Just 1 point going up on that last pass. 2, excuse me. That gives us 57 points to Wiltshire, 17 for North Wales.
So we're, halfway through the first half. If I was North Wales, I would be looking to have a think about how I'm going to change up my tactics. North Wales have a very, very strong defence, but they haven't been able to work out how to lock down the Wiltshire jammers. So I'll be looking to them to change it up in the next few jams.
We'll have to see. You see the North Wales tripod kind of sucking back onto the jammer there, really trying to crowd her space. Meryl Streak is up at front, battling a 3-wall of her own, braced by Lady T.
And that's Skaty Perry going in for some offence, and that does break up the wall to let Meryl Streak through. Lead jammer for North Wales.
Wiltshire do have their pivot in the box right now, and there's a blocker in there for North Wales too. Meryl Streak just coming in, communicating with her blockers where she is, setting up the play, slices through. Lovely bit of toe stop right there from Meryl Streak, puts 4 points up on that pass.
But that's great offence from North Wales roller derby, because the blockers are separating out the Wiltshire blockers so that they couldn't form a wall between them, and that's great offence.
You now see Swift putting up 4 points to her own, so North Wales choosing to run this jam. It's even points at the moment.
And Meryl Streak thinks, we can't risk this anymore. We'll end the jam now, and should come out winning the jam, and they do 6 points to 4, taking them to 23 points.
I've got to say the bench coaching this weekend has been absolutely instrumental. So each team is allowed someone on their bench area, called their bench coach, who can tell them to run the jam, to call the jam, to adjust their positioning on track. And especially with all the chaos going on track, the noise of the crowd, sometimes you just need to look to your bench coach for a little guidance, and that's been really critical.
Yeah.
Spider slam now up against Lindsay. The pivot for North Wales, throwing in a little bit of offence there, but not able to get much purchase on the wall. And an inside line left open for Lindsay.
I think North Wales, they're not using that pivot to do offence enough, because I would have wanted them to really bust open that Wiltshire wall if they were going to be effective, but that's let Lindsay through, who is now scoring points.
And Lindsay just ping-ponging through and round, hit to the outside and decides to call off the jam. 3 points going up there for Wiltshire. So 3 points means she's only passed at 3 of her opposing players, not the full 4. But easiest and safest sometimes to call it off rather than fight for that extra point.
Yeah. 3 points is better than giving the other team 4.
3 points is better than no points.
So we are in a team timeout. Yes, it is a team timeout.
I would like to, during the team timeout, to run through our officials crew. We've went through the rosters earlier of the players, but the officials have been putting a shift in all weekend, and they deserve some acknowledgement. So we have for this game Nuts, Ginger Snaps, Mofo Princess, Mischief, Alpha Wolf, Stellar Revolution, Judge Tread, Hissing Hellcat, Critical Mash, Louise and Pessy. They are non-skating officials.
And so our skating officials in the black and white stripes are Sarcasm, Razor, Julia Caesar, Booker DeWitt, Matt Newton, Errington, Anton Deck and Little Nipper. And they travel around, most of the UK, most weekends, officiating games.
Never mind the UK, we've got a lot of international kind of officials with international experience out there as well, which is fantastic to see. And they, roller derby is a volunteer grassroots sport. It's what we're really proud of. There is no money in amateur roller derby. These officials, these players give up their time for nothing but love of the sport. As do we.
As do we.
And it's a complete and utter pleasure to do so. We're really privileged to be able to call this game. And we're really excited as well that, we're putting this out to BBC Sports, hopefully spreading the good news of roller derby.
And we're underway again. It is Megan Love on the jam line for the first time for North Wales, up against the Renegade for Wiltshire.
Now, Megan Love is a Team Wales national player, and she is super experienced, super gutsy, and she is lead jammer for North Wales. The Renegade, however, putting a burst of speed on, breaks past her on the inside line.
And that's forcing Megan Love to call that jam, because you can't let the other team score points ahead of you.
But that is what we call a great neutralisation jam. The Renegade, statistically at the moment for this game, the strongest jammer out there for Wiltshire. So the fact that Megan Love was just able to hold her to no points is actually really, really important. So don't underestimate a scoreless jam, because it's actually can sometimes have just as big an impact.
And roller derby is a game of momentum. And so not letting the other team score can take away that momentum. So we're underway again. It is Basket Case on the line for North Wales Roller Derby up against Diamond Dodge for Wiltshire.
Basket Case toe stopping on the inside, but must have put a toe out of bounds because she is off to the box. In the meantime, Diamond Dodge, big smile on her face, has made it through for lead.
So this is a real opportunity for Wiltshire to put some scoring passes in and open up that lead. But Diamond Dodge is having trouble up against MC Hammer from North Wales, and just hit out and recycled a long way, and it eats up time and energy, and that's what you don't want as a jammer. You just want to be able to skate through.
But there she goes, skating on through. The penalty time has expired now on Basket Case, who actually went to the box and forearms penalty. I'm sorry for suggesting that was a track cut. I just didn't see the forearms occur. So she now has to complete her initial pass through this Wiltshire team.
And I think so far it's definitely been a case of Wiltshire's defence has just been that bit stronger, and that's why we're seeing the points differential and the score that we are. Because the defence from Wiltshire has just been absolutely solid. Look, even with offence, they can't get Basket Case through.
Diamond Dodge on another scoring pass now. She has 12 points to her name in this jam so far. Basket Case, as you say, still trying to find a space past that wall.
Diamond Dodge with a lovely little apex jump to complete that scoring pass. That Diamond Dodge now coming to the pack for her 5th scoring pass.
Taken to the outside there by 225. That is Jabberwocky, and forced to reset behind.
But North Wales now have passed the Star to Sharp Attack, so their basket case stuck behind that wall, wasn't moving. We want to stop Diamond Dodge scoring, so if we pass the Star, we'll force Diamond to call the jam, as has just happened, and stop that attrition.
But notice how calm Diamond Dodge is. Again, looking to her bench to kind of just check she can do that call. We now see the officials holding their hands up in the shape of an O, which means that one of the teams has called an official review. Now, each team gets 1 official review per half. However, if they win their official review, they will be able to use it 1 more time per half. So it's a maximum of 2. If you lose your official review, you don't get to use it again. Do you want to explain what an official review is?
So an official review is where the bench coach from a team asks the officials to review a decision that was made during that last jam. You can't do it 3 jams down the road. You have to do it right there and then. And it might be asking for a penalty that they felt was warranted. And so the officials will ask what they want to have the review. They will go away then in a little huddle, check who saw what, and come to a determination about whether that asked for penalty or rescindment happens. That's then communicated to the teams. And so if you win your official review, traditionally you go in and you ask for a penalty to be assessed because you believe it was warranted. The officials will concur with you and the penalty will be assessed, and that's how you win your official review.
So we can see the head referee for this crew, Sarcasm, just having a chat with both those bench coaches. So the bench coaches from both teams and the captains come in so they know what the situation is. We'll just see if we're going to hear what that official review is. We should be getting it through.
Because the head ref has a microphone.
So we weren't actually able to hear what that official review was about, but we will try to find that out for you. I'm not...
It's Wiltshire's official review, so we'll see in a second whether they've managed to retain it. I'm just looking at the scoreboard.
Well, I don't think anyone additional is going to the penalty box, so I'm going to suggest that official review, whatever it was called for, was not retained, so so kind of game continues as usual, and Wiltshire will not be able to call another one this half.
So everything goes back to the way it was, the no call stood.
We have Meryl Streak and Swift jamming right now, and Meryl Streak able to outwit Wiltshire's defensive structure there, picks up lead for North Wales. Swift has taken off the Star in that so-called Star Stash, and you can see her on your screen just trying to keep pushing the North Wales wall out of play.
So you'll see there that we have two groups, 2 huddles, they're called walls, and you have a skater maybe in the middle. That's because there is all the skaters have to be within a certain distance of each other. I'm not going to get more detailed than that. It is very detailed, but that's why they're doing that. They're making sure that everybody's within 10 feet of each other.
Essentially, if you didn't have that, you'd just have like a weaving race around the track, and that would be no fun for anyone. Star has now been passed off to Serenity Shepherd of Wiltshire Roller Derby. Lovely strong footwork there from Serenity.
But Meryl Streak is in the pack scoring points. No, we have a power jam situation. Meryl Streak picking up a penalty.
She has picked up a cut track. That's her second of the game so far. It's probably one of the most common penalties for jammers.
Because they're hit out so often, it's making sure you're behind everybody when you were hit out.
So Serenity Shepherd will now be the active jammer for the remainder of the jam. You can't, if you've received the Star as a pivot, you can't pass it back to the jammer, unfortunately. You have to remain the active jammer for the rest of that jam. And
so that's skating backwards. We call that a recycle. So if you hit somebody out and you skate backwards, they've got to skate even further forward to get round you. And so that again takes time and energy. So, and we call that a hit out and recycle.
Let's have a look at the score. We've not updated you in a while. I mean, you can see it on your overlay. But Wiltshire really out in front, 91 points. North Wales, 26. And so that's pretty strong showing. You can see the North Wales fans in the audience looking a little concerned. But there is still 6 minutes and 9 seconds left in this half, and then we have another full 30-minute half.
But just this afternoon, in another game, we've seen a team that was 60 points behind come back and win. So this is the thing with roller derby. There's a lot of points and it moves very fast. So you can't sit there and go, oh, this game is done, because it isn't.
Trick Sanchez for North Wales has been established lead jammer, but she was absorbed back into the pack. Lynn Sane, in the meanwhile, out of the pack on her initial, now in scoring position. So she can put points up on the board now. Trick has to get all the way round back through the pack in order to do that.
But Trick has completed that initial pass and is heading towards the box, but it is now a power jam for North Wales at this crucial time. Lindsay going to the track for a cut track penalty. So this is Trick Sanchez's chance to put on scoring passes in that 30 seconds.
And Trick has proven themselves most able to do that. Lindsay is in the box on a back block penalty. Sorry, that was my fault for miscommunicating. So she will, if Trick chooses to run the jam, she will be released after 30 seconds. And Trick is, at the moment, running it. There is Lindsay on your screen, released from the penalty box.
Trick. So this has been great work from Wiltshire. This could have been an opportunity for North Wales to put on 3 or 4 scoring passes, 12 or 16 points, but they've managed to limit that to 1 pass.
Yeah, it's very, we call that a power jam kill. Yeah. Just really good defensive work there. Look at that wall from Wiltshire. It is barely moving. They have 4 of them in full defensive mode against Trick.
And Trick, we've seen Trick push skaters half the track before. Very, very physical skater. Had to get some offense to get through, which just shows how strong that wall was from Wiltshire.
Lindsay still working away here. Has to reset in the straightaway. And the whistles go, bringing that jam to its natural conclusion. Goodness me, let's just see what that's done to the score. 7 points on the jam for Wiltshire, 9 for North Wales. So, as you said, really nice work from Wiltshire there, who managed to kind of neutralise that 30-second power jam, limit the points scored.
So 3.5 minutes left in this first half. Both teams will be looking to go into half-time with momentum.
We've got Spider Slam out for the first time in a while. It feels like she's not jammed in a while. The Renegade, however, working her way, stays in bounds by some magic of physics and is lead for Wiltshire.
And that was a textbook example of offence from North Wales. Spider Slam stuck behind those 3 green Wiltshire blockers. Somebody comes in and just pushes one out of the way, and that lets Spider Slam through.
Shot there of the Renegade and her jam referee, Julia Caesar, who is going to keep track of her points.
And again, it's that Wiltshire wall just absolutely solid up front. Spider Slam getting no chance to get through. But the Renegade is able to push the North Wales blockers out of the way to complete a scoring pass. That is the Renegade coming to the pack for her 3rd scoring pass in this jam.
And they've broken the century mark, so Wiltshire now over 100 points and counting. Spider Slam has not even made it out on her initial pass yet, and we have had over a minute of jam time.
And that's what you don't want as a jammer, because it's physically very tiring to be constantly trying to push your way through. But then North Wales here on your screen showing how defense is so important. 3 people working together can hold back one very effectively.
Yeah, that's Cyclo, Skaty Perry and Jamiroquai doing a real stellar job of the defence there, pushing the Renegade back for the recycle. And a star pass now to Megan Love. Now, Megan Love issued a cut track in the dying seconds of that jam.
So we'll have what we call a power start, which is a power jam at the start, and we're just we just like saying it all together in one go.
It's a huge advantage, a power start, because that means, especially when the penalty is issued at the very end of the jam, as it was there, that they have the full 30 seconds to work with. Sometimes you might have a power start, but the jam has already sat 20 or 25 seconds of their 30-second penalty. Here now, let's see if North Wales can hold back Diamond Dodge. Not really. Diamond Dodge with a lovely big smile as she breaks out for Leeds.
And I think that was North Wales just not being ready. Even though the whistle had gone, they weren't really ready for the speed that Diamond Dodge can come to the pack with.
Nobody's ready for the speed of Diamond Dodge, let's be perfectly honest. She is supersonic. You can't really get a sense on the stream of how fast these jammers move. It is really exceptional.
And it's the acceleration. It's from a standing start, even when they're in the pack and they get blocked, to be able to pick it up in milliseconds to go forward ahead of the blockers.
Megan Love out of the box there. You had a nice little determined shot of her coming out. So she will have to complete that initial pass through Wiltshire's wall. So Megan Love, a pivot because she blocks and jams both very well. Was most valuable player at the Charters Cup back at the end of August. I mean, you can see why. She's a stellar player. At the moment, she's going into defensive mode. Look what we've got here. As the jammer, she has hit Dodge out. Now, the jammers are the only people on the track who are allowed to hit each other out of the engagement zone and recycle further back. So in that case, Diamond Dodge decided, I'm not going to get into a foot race. I'm going to just call the jam. I've got my points.
If you like roller derby strategy and tactics, that was really exciting because it's sort of a bit unusual and it was fun to watch.
It was unusual. I like that. Megan just went, you know what, I'll give the people what they want. Unbelievably, folks, I don't know why people are lining up on the track because we are in half time.
That crept up on me.
I mean, I think it's crept up on North Wales as well, I'm not going to lie. So the score as it stands at half time is 122 points to Wiltshire Roller Derby, 35 points for North Wales. Do stay with us on the stream, or do kind of go refresh your beverage and then come back to us. We love a second half team.
We do.
And that, you know, don't write North Wales off yet. They might come out of that locker room talk fired up. So we'll see you back here in about 14 minutes for the second half of this WFTDA Tier 2 winners. Welcome back to the second half of North Wales versus Wiltshire, the WFTDA Tier 2 final. We've got a few minutes until the second half actually kicks off. So we're going to take the opportunity to talk you through a few things. I think we might have some action replays coming up. But just before that, we'll just give you a bit of a heads up on the penalty count. It's been a really nice, clean game. Players are allowed a maximum of 7 penalties before they foul out of a game. At the moment, the only person in any danger potentially is number 2-3. That's MC Slammer from North Wales, who is sitting on 4.
I mean, there are games where we have seen over 100 penalties between the two teams.
Not for one player.
Not for one player, no, but across the two teams, which shows the level that it can be. Whereas in this game, how many penalties are we looking at?
I mean, I've not done the maths, but nobody on Wiltshire. We've got 2 players from Wiltshire sitting on 2 apiece. We've got 1 player from North Wales on 4, 1 on 3, and 2 on 2, and then a smattering of others. As you can see on your screen there are different codes for the penalties, so I'm probably going to get them wrong now, but B is a back block, X is a track cut, M is a multiplayer block. That's when you form an impenetrable link either with your hands or arms that the jammer cannot break through without endangering themselves.
D is direction, which means that you're hitting somebody in an anti-derby direction.
And what is C? I've forgotten what C is now. We've both forgotten what C is because they've changed the codes. We will find out another part there.
So that's Wiltshire's current penalty status. Not sure if we can see North Wales, who have probably, just up on your screen, you can see they actually have more players with penalties and somebody on 4, MC Slammer, as you said.
Meryl Streak as a jammer on 2 track cuts, so quite a common jammer penalty, but nobody in any real danger as long as they keep themselves calm, take it down a notch. We do have some incredibly experienced officials out there who are able to see those penalties being affected and able to keep our players safe. We're also just going to clarify parts of the overlay for you because we have had some feedback that we'd like a bit more explanation there. Dork, do you want to do that for us?
So when you see the overlay, and as you can see up on the corner, you've got the team names and you've got the number of points, and you have a little 0 and a star. When the star goes red, that means that team has lead jammer. So that's how we can tell when we're talking to you about who has lead, because that's what that little red star is. And the little black dots next to the 0 and the star indicates the number of timeouts that each team has and official reviews. So it's useful for people who can look at the scoreboard and they can see instantly whether a team still has a timeout or whether they've used their official review.
Yeah, and if the red star suddenly goes not red, then that's because the jammer has had a penalty and gone to the box, and that's, as we discussed in the first half, that's because they've lost their lead jammer status. We have a minute to go until Derby, although we actually looks like we might be getting underway.
In still 55 seconds, but the teams are ready because they want to get that position on the track. There's a bit of psychology between the two teams, so that's why we're seeing everybody lined up. But just a reminder, this is for the gold medal for Tier 2 WFTDA side. This is the end of 9 months of competition.
And we are underway. Diamond Dodge wearing the star for Wiltshire Roller Derby. Trick Sanchez, very physical up at the front of the pack there. Resets because, she is being issued with it was somebody else being issued a forearm, but it was the jam ref calling it. So Trick resetting to create that initial pass. Lovely 2-all here from 7-0-2.
And it just shows how you don't have to go in for a big hit to push somebody off track. People think it's all about these big flying hits, but it's about working together and pushing people off the track.
The big flying hits are also fun.
They're the fun bits.
As a blocker, it's absolutely, there's nothing better in the world than throwing a big flying hit on a jammer, but it's not always the safest thing to do.
Also, it uses a lot of energy.
Diamond Dodge with lead status, just taking her time right now. She's a very clean player. Trick Sanchez out of the pack on the initial. And Diamond Dodge, taken to the floor, decides to call the jam. Big smiles there from Chell Razor, the pivot for North Wales, as she heads off track.
And that's what you see a lot in roller derby, is huge smiles. Because
it's fun.
It's fun. That's why we do this.
You get to skate around a track at high speed, hitting your friends. It's great. I mean, it's really not much simpler than that. And I do encourage anyone who's watching or listening, if you think you like the look of roller derby, Google roller derby in your local area. There are leagues all over the UK. There are new leagues being formed.
Or contact the UK Roller Derby Association. They can tell you where your nearest team are.
In the meantime, we have both jammers out the pack. Meryl Streak. Now, that's interesting. On the overlay there, we did have Meryl Streak being issued lead, but I think it was actually the Renegade who had that status, and she's called the jam, a neutralising jam, so no points put up.
Because it can be very, very little space between the two jammers as they exit the pack. We have a view from where we see, but actually the jam ref, who is looking for exactly who comes out first, that's why they have that position and they have the authority.
Nice little shot of the crowd there, the Wales contingent out in full force. And a lovely close shot of this very scrummy pack. I say scrummy because it reminds me of rugby, the scrum there. And it's just a big old crush of strong athletic bodies. Spider slam through the inside for lead.
So you can see there that Wiltshire had Spider slam behind them, but she was able to twist them around and create that gap.
We've had a star pass to Wiltshire's 7-0-2. As the active pivot. Now, I've seen her jam before, and she's a great jammer in her own right. There she goes with a lovely little spin on the inside. Look at those socks. Aren't those fantastic?
But also using the momentum of that hit to spin round.
I mean, I was distracted by the socks, but I'm sure her skating skills were absolutely on point as well. So, great jam there from North Wales, putting 4 points on the board, taking their total to 39. Wiltshire holding at 124. And
you can see that definitely both teams took the half time to think about how were they going to change things up.
See, normally when I play roller derby at half-time, I just tend to lie down and think about my life choices. And then, but this is possibly why I'm not playing at this much higher level of derby. Basket case out for North Wales, Lynn Zane for Wiltshire. And Lynn Zane finding just an inch that she can toe stop through, picks up lead for Wiltshire.
I think that's what we've seen a number of times in this game so far. North Wales not able to cover the entire track edge to edge, and that's letting the jammers through on the sides, because you just give them enough space for their toe stops and they'll get past you.
I think that's because the trend in roller derby at this level right now is very much defensive formations of what we call tripods or three walls, and then you leave your fourth blocker to play offense. Now, when North Wales have played that dropping the offensive player to play defense this weekend, it's worked really well, but the three wall is just not
they're not able to cover the whole track. They need that fourth person.
In the meantime, we've had a star pass to Shellraiser, who stops for a minute. Maybe the star pass wasn't affected correctly, but nonetheless the jam is called off by Wiltshire before Shellraiser can go round as the jammer to put points up.
And North Wales definitely having, and it is as a jammer that penalty. So we just saw somebody skate to the box, wondering what seat they sit in, because in the box, jammers have separate seats to the blockers. So we know that that's the North Wales jammer in the box.
Yeah, and it's not Shellraiser. So it is a power start for Diamond Dodge, and that means it is Basket Case who is sitting as the jammer. Now Diamond Dodge picks up lead, but resets behind that Wiltshire 2-wall, now a 3-wall. Bit of a chase there, but makes it out. This is still her initial pass.
So now it's scoring points for Diamond Dodge in the pack.
And textbook offence there by Ginge. You just saw Ginge hit the North Wales tripod just before Diamond Dodge came in to just open up a gap and to weaken the wall. Really lovely offensive blocking there.
And you can see a lovely sign in the audience. People are encouraged to bring signs to support their favourite skaters. A big sign for Diamond Dodge.
Yeah, it's lovely to see kind of family, friends and the derby community come out in force in Stoke-on-Trent where this event is being held. Dodge taking her time now on this scoring pass. Such a careful jammer, absolutely determined to stay on track, to stay clean.
I mean, you know, even compared to this weekend, I can't believe how clean Wiltshire roller derby have been playing, and that does make a big difference. If you have only 3 blockers on track because one's in the bin, it's going to be easier to get past you or to get you out of the way.
They're a very well-gelled team as well, Wiltshire. I remember being at this event, British Championship playoffs, this time last year. Wiltshire were here, and their roster is pretty much identical. They don't have a lot of turnover as far as I can see. Oh, look at the Renegade smile as she picks up lead.
But if you have the inside line cleared for you by your blockers, you'd be smiling.
It's a great feeling. I'm going to call her the lipstick assassin because of that smile.
So there is a saying in roller derby that blockers earn points and jammers pick them up, and that was a textbook example.
Yeah. The Renegade resetting behind North Wales's number 7, calls off the jam. And we'll just see that those points go up. 3 points on that pass, putting the differential at an even 100. That is the kind of maths that I can do.
22 minutes and change left in this game.
We've got Swift lining up against Spider Slam. This is quite a familiar matchup by now. We have what we term it a jammer rotation. You know, each team will probably have 4 or 5 jammers, and they might go out in the exact same order, and they might go out with a specific pack of blockers, or they might match them up against another team's jammer for various different reasons. In this case, it is Swift who comes out successful with the lead status for Wiltshire. Spider Slam still working on that initial pass.
And that's great one-on-one blocking from Skeletor from Wiltshire. Again, just one blocker able to hold back somebody across that 10-foot space.
Skeletor, Wiltshire's captain for this weekend, and a really consistent and aware blocker. She's wearing the pivot stripe right now and just set in a wall with 7-0-2. Swift with 4 points on the pass. Spider Slam still battling her way through on this initial. She has stashed the star.
So Spider Slam has now been, in the pack for a minute, which doesn't sound like a long time until it's you.
Oh, a minute in roller derby is like a year, especially when you're jamming and you're caught in a wall like that.
And that's Chellraiser going in from North Wales, taking apart that Wiltshire wall at the back. But Spider Slam's still not able to get through. But that was incredible offense from Chellraiser.
Chellraiser is what we call a triple threat. She's someone who has jammed a lot for North Wales this weekend. She's also pivoted, and she's been a blocker without the pivot strike as well. Huge jam here from Swift, 8 points so far, and possibly some more in her pocket, but she's got to complete the scoring pass.
And Chellraiser is now jamming for North Wales. There has been a star pass. So again, just showing that triple threat status of Chellraiser, as she has just 2 Wiltshire blockers up front, 1, and is completing that initial pass. But it's taken 1 minute 54 seconds.
And the jam comes to its natural conclusion. So Swift obviously told to run that jam by her bench. Clock management in this second half is going to be Wiltshire's friend. If they have lead status and they've got a really convincing lead, they don't need to run the jams unless they want to tire out their opposition, which might be their strategy right now.
So it's 149 points playing 39, and we are in a team timeout called by North Wales. So that may be just, at this stage, have a quick check on how their strategy after half-time, because they came out at half-time, had a couple of good jams, but Wiltshire have taken control back. So I think they're probably having a bit of a regroup and thinking about how they can change things up again.
I liked that little shot you had of the North Wales bench there, because you see Jabberwocky just having a bit of a dance. there's a lot of sideline dancing in roller derby. It jazzes us up, it keeps us happy. And there's a lovely shot of our officials, both skating and non-skating officials, in the middle. I mean, again, thinking back to what I said earlier about what, if you want to get involved in roller derby, perhaps you don't want to skate. We are a community-led sport. The officials, the volunteers, the photographers, and indeed the announcers. If you don't want to skate, but you have a love for the sport,
and if you want to feel part of this lovely community,
there's a place for you in roller derby. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. If you've done sport before, if you're a professional athlete, dump your current sport and come join us, because I can guarantee you it is the best sport in the world, and there's just nothing quite like it. Here we go into jam number 8 of the second half. That is Diamond Dodge, patient and patient and on the floor, but she's fine.
But that was great defence from North Wales. That's sort of textbook, how do you do a block?
Lovely lockdown here for Wiltshire at the front. They've gone into this 3-wall, this tripod, and they've got Trink Sanchez snarled up between those blockers. But look how strong she is. She's able to push 3 players and just push them forward gradually. And there she is picking up lead. She's pushed the ball out of play, out of the engagement zone, and therefore lead status goes to North Wales.
So there was an all-Wales game yesterday with Trink Sanchez, and there were lots of jokes about how Trink would be amazing at rugby. But we have had a star pass by Wiltshire, so 702 is now the jammer for Wiltshire, trying to stop Trink Sanchez putting on multiple passes, but 702 having a bit of a struggle to get out the pack herself.
Well, she's managed it now, and that's the second time she's taken the star for Wiltshire. She's put points up of her own, 4 to Trink's 8 right now.
But Trink Sanchez approaching the pack for second scoring pass, but the pack are now speeding up because they want to make it more difficult for Trink to score the points if you're Wiltshire.
Lovely work here from 702, side surfing around number 7 for North Wales. That is Cyclo. Now Trink doing a bit of jammer on jammer defense here, trying to shave off some of 702's speed. And time, and that works because 702 not able to complete that scoring pass before the whistles go. She does. Look, she's picked up those 3 points. So actually Wiltshire outscoring North Wales there by 2 points. 11 on the jam for Wiltshire, 9 for North Wales. But Trick was, I believe, running that jam because North Wales had 2 blockers in the box, and she wanted to spring at least one of them free. Can't even mix up my words now. So that they could have at least 3 blockers for the start.
Because Meryl Streak is on the jam line up against Lynn Sane, and you want as many blockers as you can right at the start.
Lynn Sane forced to the outside. In the meantime, Meryl Streak, quick and slick, she is lead. And she's such a calm jammer as well. You know, there's nothing frantic about her jamming style. You see her coming into the back of Wiltshire there. Wiltshire dropping into full defensive mode with 4 blockers.
But that meant that North Wales couldn't go that far ahead, and they weren't able to keep Lynn Sane back, who is now approaching the pack for a scoring pass.
Streak taking a knee on the floor, pops back up. Lynn Sane lateraling around 8-8 Shellraiser, puts up 4 points.
Meryl Streak thinks it's too dangerous to leave Wiltshire to come to the pack, so calls that jam, but has picked up the 4 points, so that is 4 points each in this jam.
Yep.
It's 52 points now to North Wales, and it's 164 to Wiltshire, and we have 16 minutes left in this Tier 2 WFTDA final game.
And if you're hooked on this sport just by watching this stream, then do stay tuned after this game, because our last game we'll be bringing to you today is the WFTDA, that's the Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association, to Tier 1 Women's Final, which will be London's Battersea Power against Liverpool Rollerbirds, and that will be a cracking matchup.
Yep.
Megan Love now jamming for North Wales Roller Derby, and North Wales know what Wiltshire, know what Megan's capable of. So they have dropped 4 players, and with no offence, the Renegade makes it out.
Megan Love is, you know, an incredibly strong player, but pushing 4 people is a big job for anybody, but has achieved that, is out and now approaching the pack on a scoring pass, forcing that jam to be called.
Yeah, Renegade hits and quits there, so hits the pack and then calls it off right away without picking up points. So again, a neutral jam. I love these little close-up shots we're getting of the skaters just as they line up, because I can tell you so many emotions and thoughts go through your mind there. Swift is just excited to be there. She's got a little shoulder shimmy.
Yeah, she just wants to get into the game, and we're underway. So it's basket case against Swift. This
matchup I don't think we've seen really before. That's Hayley of Wiltshire kind of waterfalling to the front to reform her wall.
It's all about being able to move around other people but still stay together, which sounds like a difficult thing to do, and it is. So teams practice a lot on how to do this with people trying to disrupt them.
Oh yeah, I will say, if you're going to get involved in roller derby after this, it's not an easy game. It's the best fun you'll ever have, but it ain't easy. But, you know, it's worth it. Max Payne offering up some offence there for Wiltshire to try to create gaps for basket case. We've had more than 40 seconds gone in this jam and no lead yet established.
And to put it in context, the average scoring pass is about 9 seconds. So that just shows how strong the defence is from both teams.
A very quick star pass off to Be Brutal. Basket case lead for North Wales, but Wiltshire able to get the star out very quickly to their pivots.
But basket case is out, so is going to play this jam long. Not going to hit it and quit it. It's coming around for another scoring pass. So they believe that North Wales can hold back Be Brutal. And I think, you know, that's a wise tactic, because basket case is still in the pack and so can score points ahead of where Wiltshire are in terms of points in this jam.
Well, Be Brutal actually managed to get a scoring pass in. Let's see if basket case managed to pick any up on the last pass. Picks up an additional 2.
Yep.
So it does win that jam.
So that was good tactics from North Wales.
I think increasingly, when the star is passed off to your opposing pivot, you're more confident about running the jam because you know that the designated jammer is no longer scoring, and so you have to put that faith in your blockers to be able to hold back the pivot, who might be trained as a jammer but is primarily a blocker.
So we see Megan Love on the jam line for North Wales up against Diamond Dodge.
Oh, lovely.
Wow, that was lovely.
Oh, Megan Love, just really beautiful little footwork there, so precise. Picks up lead for North Wales. And 7:02 trying to whip through the pack, but actually manages the star pass in that whip motion.
That's breaking the laws of physics, I think.
I think all of roller derby is breaking the laws of physics. So 7:02 now with the star for the third time this game. She's doing a great job as the pivot for Wiltshire.
But it's Chell Razor who's trying to hold her back, but not good enough. And 7:02 completes for 4 points.
So Megan Love still stuck in the pack. She might have already passed some Wiltshire players, so we'll have points. Let's see if they go up on the overlay now. She picks up 3. So Wiltshire with 1 point advantage in that jam. Score sitting 172-61 in favour of Wiltshire.
But I think in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes, North Wales have kept it at around 100 points. Well, it's 110 now. But we're not seeing a big increase in the gap, in the lead, that we were seeing at other points in the game. So I think North Wales have changed it up to try and stop Wiltshire from running away with it.
I mean, the nice thing about roller derby as well is that you could be 300 points down and you still fight like it's the first jam. You know, it's such a fun and aggressive and competitive game.
Because there is rankings available through different sort of parts of the sport. So
even rankings, just do it. It's fun to play.
Yeah.
But at the moment, Lynn Sane is having a really, really tough time against this North Wales wall. No lead established yet. Hips just flicking round there. Picks up lead after 30 seconds of play for Wiltshire. Meryl Streak still working away on the initial. There she goes.
On the outside, finds the gap, completes her initial pass. And it's Meryl Streak approaching the pack that forces that jam to be called.
Wiltshire all smiles as they head back to their bench.
3 points for them, taking them to 175. But again, it's North Wales only letting it be single passes now rather than multiple scoring passes that we were seeing earlier in the game.
Nice little shots there of Cyclo, Skeletor, 7:02, all these different players. Just reminds me of things like that I love about roller derby, like the diversity of this sport. You know, on track you see so many different kind of people, ages, body types, you know, different athletic or non-athletic backgrounds, and they're all here playing the same game.
And they all have a role in roller derby.
Oh, it's my favourite thing about this sport. Oh, La Renegade round the outside, picks up lead. Impressive that she was held back for so long, but just that lovely smile she has. She's having the time of her life out there.
And it was a great sort of lateral move and dodge. It looked really simple, but actually that's very hard.
Spider Slam being held back briefly by 7:02. But the Renegade slices through the pack on that scoring pass and calls the jam off.
So we have less than 10 minutes left in this final game of the season for Tier 2. And it's 61 points to North Wales Roller Derby, 179 to Wiltshire.
I think if we can be really frank for a moment, I think when we both knew we were going to be announcing this game, we didn't expect the runaway from Wiltshire to be so convincing. And we only say that because the statistics tell us that. If we've looked at the top players in this tier throughout the season,
and the fact that North Wales beat Wiltshire just a few months ago,
although that was an incredibly narrow differential, but the blockers for North Wales, so many of the top 10 blockers in this tier belong to that team. To be fair, Wiltshire do make up the rest of them. So it's completely right and accurate that these two teams should be in the final.
But at the same time, we were expecting it to be a closer game. So it's just showing how teams, even experienced teams, can grow during a season or even a tournament like this weekend and can really change up the game and step it up.
However, Trix Sanchez, with just that tenacity, which is so characteristic of her jamming, picks up lead after about 40 seconds of play, admittedly. Lovely offense coming in there from North Wales, number 2-3. That is MC Slammer.
Working with Max Payne very effectively. They're a sort of power blocker couple. See them on track together quite a lot.
We do have a player going to the box for North Wales. Trick Sanchez on your screens coming in on another scoring pass. Look at that strength that she has.
Again, getting no offence, just having to push, physically push the blockers out of her way. But she is hit out and recycled, just as Swift is now having to do the same up front to North Wales. But there's some... and there's the star pass.
That was slick as you please. Serenity Shepherd just coming around to the front of the pack, getting herself in the perfect position.
Yeah.
Picking the star off.
I thought they were going in for offence, but no, that was a well-practiced and drilled star pass.
Score now 179 to Wiltshire, 69 to North Wales, so 110 points separating the teams.
And it's been 110 points for about the past 3 or 4 minutes, so I think that North Wales can really take that away, that they have definitely not let that gap increase.
Yeah, since that 20-point jam from the Renegade in the first half, there's not been another scoring run quite like it. But kind of going back to what we were saying before about, you know, we weren't expecting this this outcome particularly, but I also think it's one of those things where the score isn't necessarily reflective of the gameplay. Yeah. You know, the story of Derby is so kind of varied. At the moment, it's the story of Megan Love, who picks up lead for North Wales. Diamond Dodge takes the star off, makes out on the initial pass.
And you can see that by North Wales putting Megan Love up to jam more, it's because different jammers have different styles and different blockers and teams have different ways of blocking. And so, you know, you may have a jammer who works really well against physical teams, but then you need a jammer who's going to be really good against teams that are very agile. So that's why we're seeing Megan Love come up on the roster more regularly as jammer, because her style is clearly effective, having picked up lead.
She's also just such a veteran player, and I think has that kind of confidence even when her team may be down a bit. It's 4 points on the board apiece at the moment. We'll just see if the score is adjusted by the jam referees before we head into jam 17. Nope, looks like it's 4 all in that jam, so you're absolutely right. That differential is being maintained.
And I think North Wales will be able to really take that as something away from this game, that they've been able to change their tactics up mid-game, which isn't always easy, and it just shows the experience of the team that they're able to switch it up. And they've worked out how to lock down those Wiltshire jammers, which I think they really weren't quite as strong as in the first half.
The majority of the Wiltshire jammers, particularly the very agile ones like Diamond Dodge, really thrive on space, and they've managed to kind of shut that down a lot more effectively off the jam line. So we've only got 5 and a bit minutes left in this second half. It is Lindsay jamming for Wiltshire, and that is Meryl Streak with the start for North Wales, and a very slow, grinding start here.
Because they've had the time to set up, but Lindsay has found a way through. Meryl Streak trying to find that gap on the outside, gets the offence in from her North Walian colleagues.
North Walian, I like that word. And we've seen Wiltshire just what we call waterfalling there, so kind of swirling around to the front of the pack. But Meryl Streak with some lovely toast at work, out. However, jam is called. So coming into the last few minutes in this game, this is where teams sometimes use their timeouts, but North Wales don't have any timeouts left, just official reviews. A team can take an official review as a timeout if they so wish, if they think that they're not. Oh, but it looks like North Wales are using their official review.
And they are using it as a timeout. So the official who is waving their arms does a signal which indicates that it's an official review and a timeout.
And as you said, you know, sometimes teams will use these timeouts just to reset. Yeah. North Wales obviously know at this point that there is no way they're going to catch Wiltshire up. So it might just be them going, right, let's try this strategy. We've not pulled this out of the bag yet. Let's send this person up to play offence. Or maybe just buoying the team up and going, you know, we've got a few minutes left. Remember, we play this game for fun. Remember, it's a big deal that we're in the final. They are guaranteed a silver medal, which is nothing to be sneered at. Now, correct, you will be able to answer this because you are an expert on such things. Am I correct in thinking that both of these teams, being in the top 2 teams now in Tier 2, will be promoted to Tier 1 next season?
Yes, you are correct. So getting into the final is automatic promotion to Tier 1.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there is going to be a big benefit to both teams. And we can see that, I know it looks like the scores are very far apart. In derby terms, that's not very far apart. So these are two strong teams, and I think they're going to have fun and a really good challenge in Tier 1 next year. And we're underway again at the end of that timeout.
That's Megan Love wearing the star once again, and I really think she has just had such a stellar weekend on wherever she is on the track. It is, can't quite see who's jamming for Wiltshire at the moment. I think it's the Renegades, but she's been recycled all the way back.
So Megan Love has a full pack of 4 Wiltshire ahead of her. The Renegade finds a gap and makes it out the lead jammer.
Megan Love also out of the pack. A forearm being whistled on a player in the pack. The Renegade coming in on a scoring pass.
But sees Megan Love approaching and calls that jam.
Lovely big smiles there from Wiltshire's team as they head off track.
So that's
where she went. That's where the forearm was coming from.
So Megan Love in the penalty box. So we will have a power start to Wiltshire, but we're in a quick official timeout. So I don't know if you want to talk through the penalties.
I was just going to look back at that board. As we said earlier, it's been really a nice, clean game, which is indicative of the styles of both these teams. They're not high-risk teams.
No.
You know, their blocking manoeuvres, their defensive strategies are not what you call high risk. So you can see the penalty board on your screen right now from North Wales. MC Slammer had 4 penalties, I believe, as we went into half-time, has not picked up any more. We have Megan Love, Jamiroquai and Skaty Perry sitting on 3 apiece, and a smattering of other players sitting on 2s. Spider Slam and Trick as jammers have no penalties, which is fantastic.
But this is the difference. You can see here with Wiltshire that the sheer number of penalties is much lower, which has meant that their team have been on the track more, which is why you're seeing the points differential.
Yeah, and there is only, I think, I'll just have a double check there. I think there's only 2 jammer penalties up there for Wiltshire, which is really exceptional and just characteristic of their gameplay this season. Swift on the power start for Wiltshire, gets a bit of help from her friends, takes a knee, comes up against Shark Attack, the captain, and does pick up leads.
So you can see when they put their hands up, that's because they're showing they're not engaging with that person because they are out of play and cannot block.
Swift coming into the wall and a defensive sweep coming through from Wiltshire, led by Hayley. But now Wiltshire resetting their wall in the back of the pack as Megan Love exits the penalty box and comes into play. She will be on her initial pass, so she has to make it through this pack first and then she'll be eligible to score.
So you can see here, this is a great example of that tripod we were talking about, that 3-wall, and North Wales able to actually cover the whole of the track, holding back Swift. This is a great example of tripod blocking.
North Wales losing a player to the penalty box. Megan Love staying in bounds just beautifully.
How did she stay in bounds? Because that was awesome footwork from Megan Love. And in terms of the points in that jam, it's 3 for Wiltshire, taking them to 193, 73 for North Wales Roller Derby, and we have less than 2 minutes in this final game.
And the question is now, are Wiltshire going to break that double century? All smiles on the jam line from Meryl Streak and Diamond Dodge. You know, these players have met each other before. And another thing that's so great about roller derby is that there is that real sense of camaraderie on track. Yep. You can be friends. You can congratulate each other on your successes.
You can hit somebody over and then help them back up.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely it. Really strong defensive formations off the start of this jam. Wiltshire edging Meryl Streak to the out as Diamond Dodge finds the inside for lead status.
So Meryl Streak still having that wall up front, whereas Diamond Dodge is scoring points but hit out to the inside and recycled a long way back.
Such resilience from those jammers who can just get hit and jump right back up like they're made of India rubber.
I think they're mainly made of springs.
Meryl Streak is out of the pack. Diamond Dodge using her offense to work through the pack, calls the jam before Meryl Streak can hit it. And we're heading into what is very likely to be our last jam of the game.
So there's 30 seconds of line-up time between each jam, but as you can see, there's more on the period clock than it's going to take to line up. So we will have one more jam as a minimum.
And for what is potentially our final jam, we have Basket Case for North Wales Roller Derby and Lindsayne for Wiltshire. Basket Case working hard, but Lindsayne is successful. What a storming game she has had for the team in green. Comes around nice and calm. Takes a hit through the apex and is going to be reset.
You can just see how dynamic that Wiltshire wall is, able to just move around and reform in front of Basket Case. Even though somebody else, Shellraiser, was trying to get in the way, they were able to reform up front, and those two blockers doing a great job holding back Basket Case.
Yeah, that's Hayley and Be Brutal. Be Brutal now off to the penalty box for her trouble, but no worries for Lindsayne, who puts up another scoring pass.
And the period clock has come to an end. Now the jam clock comes to an end. So that is the end of the game. So we're just waiting for, so what you're seeing is now the unofficial score. The officials will go over and check that all the points have been accounted for correctly.
And you can see there are two players sitting in the box for Wiltshire right now who just gave each other this massive hug and cheer. Because unless something really radical happens, that is going to be your final score.
So everybody's, you can see the bench coaches all looking at the scoreboard. We want to make sure that it is that score, and we're still waiting on that official.
And now Wiltshire are celebrating as they deserve. Big cheers from that group of players. Just smiles, delight. That is the end of not just this season's work for them, but all the work they've put in as a squad over the years.
So the winners of Tier 2 WFTDA side in 2019 are Wiltshire Roller Derby.
Commiserations, of course, to North Wales. They've had such a fantastic season. And that score, I think it's really reflective of how solid Wiltshire were rather than any deficit on behalf of North Wales. Like, they're such an excellent team. But
and it was just,
they were just outplayed. It's simple as that. They were just outplayed by superior defence and by, it's got to be said, some highly skilled jamming.
Yes, and it was a game about defence. And when it becomes a game about defence, you've also got to stay clean. So you've got to have strong defence, you've got to stay clean, and that is what Wiltshire did. North Wales had moments where their defence was really solid, but they weren't able to continually do that in the way that Wiltshire were.
Yeah, I think for me, Wiltshire's 3-wall, I'm going to go back and watch that footage. I'm going to study it in minute detail, because it was glued together. Now, you are faces on screen now, I'm sorry, because what I'd really love you to see is the fact that all of the players are now going and hugging their opposing team. Everyone's friends once the final whistle blows, and they will potentially meet again in Tier 1 next year. And they'll be going into Tier 1 as serious underdogs. And
they'll actually be going into quite likely to go into the same tier. Because they were in, so although it was Tier 2, there were 4 divisions based on geography. And actually North Wales and Wiltshire were in the same division. And the top 2 in each division come to British Championships playoffs. And so we had 8 teams in Tier 2, and these 2 were the 2 that came to the final, even though they were in the same tier, which just shows that strength. So they'll go into Tier 2 South. And if you want Tier 1 South, sorry. Yeah, and if you want to see the likes of the teams that they'll be coming up against next year, again, we do encourage you to stay and watch the rest of the stream on BBC Sport. We're going to have Liverpool Rollerbirds up against London Roller Derby Battersea Power. And that's going to be really complex. So Tier 1 is being resolved in a 3-team round robin. So that's London Roller Derby's Battersea Power, Liverpool Rollerbirds and Manchester Checkerboards. So we've had 2 games already. Liverpool beat Manchester yesterday. And then Manchester beat London earlier today, which was, I think, not expected. It was not expected. So if London win, then it means that the winner of Tier 1 is going to be decided on points differential across the weekend. If Liverpool win, they're going to win.
And I think if we go on statistics, Liverpool are more likely to pull out the win because they beat the Manchester Checkerboards quite decisively.
Yep.
And therefore it would, it would imply that they would be able to beat Battersea, who lost to Manchester.
However, nothing is certain in roller derby. We've just seen
nothing is certain in roller derby. Everything is very confusing and incredibly fun and mostly made up. So just while we're going to throw down shortly to some kind of trackside interviews, getting some reflections on the players after that game. But just while we're waiting for that, who was your standout for that game on either team?
Well, obviously it's going to be Megan Love on North Wales, but for Wiltshire it's got to be Diamond Dodge. It was that skill and jamming, but I think we are actually going down to interview now.
Yep, so we will come back to us afterwards, and then I will tell you who my player was, but we'll go down to the trackside interviews now.